it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Just got out of the shower. I'm about to do my makeup and round 2 of using the Nars Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. Now, I still have the 2 shades that I got originally. I did order a couple more shades because I kind of just want to try out how best I want to use this. Like, do I want to use it solely as a setting powder? Do I want to use it as, you know, just giving me light coverage? I'm really trying to see what's going to work best. Now, the shades that I have, let me open them up. I have Offshore, which is this shade here. This is the second to last deep shade. And then we have Seafront. And this one is the deepest shade. Now, when I used these yesterday, I used Offshore to set my under eyes, and I used Seafront, which is the deepest one, to set my whole face. What I noticed was that using Seafront, I felt like I was a bit deeper throughout the day, and that is fine when I have gotten some sun and stuff, but it seemed to me like the powder was darkening over time. So I was actually thinking that Offshore, which is the lighter one, I think this one might be best to set my whole face. It was making me really think of the Charlotte Tilbury powder. Let me grab that. Oh, here it is. So I have the shade Tan here. It's got this big pan in it, but hopefully you can see. Now, Tan is the shade that is 3rd, and then number 4 is Deep. I have used Deep, and I've even gone through, I think, 1 or 2 compacts of Deep. But what I noticed with Deep was that it would darken my foundation a little bit. So now I have stuck to Tan, and I wanted to see if, like, which one the Tan is comparable to of the ones that I have from Nars. Now, I say that the Nars reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury because of having that shade darken on me. I will say that the finishes are different. When I used the Nars, I still had this sort of like luminous look going on, but when I use the Charlotte Tilbury, it's definitely a matte. So let me swatch these. This is Offshore. There's that. This is Seafront. Let's put that here. And let me swatch Charlotte. Gotta kind of get the sides here. So Charlotte is here in the middle. So to me, it looks like the Charlotte Tilbury, is that the lighter one? You can definitely see the depth in Seafront. Offshore and Tan and Charlotte Tilbury look a bit more similar. I'm like looking in this other mirror over here. Let me know which one you think looks a bit deeper out of the 2. So we've got Offshore from Nars, Tan or number 3 from Charlotte Tilbury, and then we've got Seafront from Nars. So I did order, I think, the shade before Offshore, or maybe 2 shades up. I can't even remember because I was like, which one is going to work? So that's something to keep in mind if you are looking at getting these powders. You might want to go with a shade lighter than you think, because I think they come off a bit deeper than you would expect. Now, the packaging is the classic Nars matte black. Does mean that you're gonna get like smudging on it, but I really think this packaging is cute. I saw Morgan Turner kind of review it, and she didn't like the packaging, but to me this is just nice and sleek and simple, and they're like little hockey pucks. I don't know, I really like it. So enough chatting, let's go ahead and get into putting on some makeup, because let me check the time. Oh, yes, girl, I have work. I already put on moisturizer. I didn't put on my moisturizer with sunscreen, though, so I'm going to put that on. So the other day, Sunday, I was calling my family, and like there's a lot of us, and so if one person doesn't answer, I call the next one, right? But nobody was answering, and I'm like, dude, what is happening? Why is everybody ignoring my phone call? And then my niece answered. Just brighten that up a little bit. And she was like, oh, do you want to FaceTime? And I was like, sure, if you want to. And she was like, we're with this family. Now, the family, let's call them the Smiths. We're with the Smiths. The Smiths are a family that essentially like adopted me during grad school. I was in Missouri, super far from home in California, didn't know anyone out there. And once I moved there for grad school, I moved right after undergrad. So I was like 21, 22, super young. So I got there and, you know, the first things that I wanted to find were a hairdresser and a church. I feel like that's at the top of the list for anyone, especially a person of color. When you move, it's like, where can I get my hair done and who's gonna pray for me? I'm gonna go in with this Colored Rain paint base for the eyes. So I did find both. I found a hairdresser, Miss Juanita, and I found this like little church, and I was like, perfect. And I would go to church. I would often go to the early service, and a lot of times younger folks don't necessarily go to the early service because, you know, you want to sleep in and stuff. But I would go to the early service because that to me was the service that I would like have the least likelihood of running into clients as I was starting to train and see patients. So I would go to the early service. I would be like the youngest person there. And one day this family came up to me and they were like, hey, we're the Smiths. And, you know, we see that you come to church, you know, you're a student here at the university, and we just want you to come over for dinner if you ever want to, or if you need anything, because like, you know, when students are there, especially for grad school, everyone kind of knows like you're here on your own, and I was there on my own. So they would see me at church just like by myself, probably looking lonely and hungry. So they started inviting me for dinner with them and their kids, and I would go, and then they would also invite me for holidays if I wasn't going home to see my family. So they essentially just adopted me and were looking out for me. And I know that my family was really appreciative of that. Like when I think back on it now, I didn't realize how much of an impact it had. Like if you have a child that's like miles away by themselves in this like intense PhD program, they're super young, like it's nice to have a family you can trust that will look out for them. So they were going to be heading to California for a conference, and they called my family up because they had all, like, they know my family. And I'm going to go in with the little palette that I created from my singles. Let me tell you what the shades are before I go on with my story. So this shade here is from Copacetic Cosmetics, and it is called Candy Kisses. This shade here is from Cleona Cosmetics, and it is called Pink Sugar. This shade here is from JD Glow, who I don't really purchase from anymore, and it is the shade AKA. And this shade is from Sydney Grace, and it's the shade Lolly. So I'm obviously doing a pink look today. So they call my family, and they're like, we're going to be in California in the LA area, and we want to like see you guys. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. You should totally do it. So my family organizes to meet up with them. And So that's where they were. That's where my family was on Sunday when I was calling. So my niece is like, do you want to FaceTime? We're with the Smiths. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot that you guys were going to be seeing the Smiths today. Like, I can't FaceTime right now because I was like in my bonnet, in this like ratty nightgown. Like, you know, when you are just in super duper chill mode. So I was like, let me get myself together. So I like got out of bed and I, you know, like put on some real clothes, put on a little bit of makeup and everything. I'm gonna go into this mat first. And I then FaceTime my niece, and I get to talk to the Smiths and see them on FaceTime, and it was just like, it warmed my heart so much. Like, I can't even explain to you how awesome it was to see them. And they're younger than my parents, but it was just like, it was so nice, and it really made me feel all the feels, because it was like, you all really helped me get through school. Like, I didn't even realize the impact of just having people look out for you, because it was very lonely in grad school, being so far away from home. It got real dark in Missouri. Like, it was a different level of darkness. And, you know, I had never been away from home that long. Like, I was fine being away. It was just hard. So then I was like, okay, like, it's so great to see you. I'm totally going to cover your dinner or whatever. So I was trying to figure out how to do that. I called a restaurant and they just like had me on hold, but we figured out a way. And then, so I told my sister like how we would pay for it, how I would pay for it. And then when she told me the dinner bill, because initially I was jokingly like, I'm just gonna pay for the Smiths, I'm not paying for the rest of my family. Child, when she told me that bill, I was like, what did y'all order? Like a full rack of lamb for everybody and an entire bison? Like, why is this bill so high? I was like, oh, I hope this is a business expense, because this is expensive. Not expensive, expensive. But I'm really glad that I was able to treat everyone, really. And I'm like, everybody needs to show up for their sessions today and this week. Because I'm going to go in with this brown here from my little palette that I've created. There was this empty slot because it's in the mini palette that I created. So I just want to deepen this up a little bit. But that was like really cool. It like really, really made my week, night, day. It just really, really was nice. I've been on a lot of like FaceTime me, Zoom calls this week. I also was on one with my friend Jessa, who is on here as Jessa Beauty. And we were just on Zoom for a while. And I didn't know that Zoom changed their like terms and conditions of use or whatever. So remember, like, before the pandemic started and even during the pandemic, you could be on Zoom with one other person and you could be on there for like up to 24 hours. And if you had more people, I think it was after like 45 minutes or something, you had to go ahead and extend it, or you had to have like the premium account or whatever. But we were thinking, you know, we could just be on Zoom. That's the easiest because we have different phones and such. And so at like 30 minutes, it was like, you have 10 minutes left. Do you want to upgrade to the premium? And I'm like, what is this talking about? So I just like dismissed the notification. And then it cut off at 40 minutes. And so we redid it like 3 times. Like, we were on Zoom for a long time. And both of us, like, were Googling, like, did the terms change or something? And yes, they changed, like, May or March of 2022, where now you can do it for free for 40 minutes only. And after that, either you have to restart a new meeting or you have to be in one of the premium levels to be able to meet longer. And I was just mind blown. Like, what kind of focus group came up with 40 minutes? Not 30, not 45, not 60, but 40. Who did that? No one's meeting is 40 minutes. No one is ever like, let's have a 40-minute meeting. Let's have a 32-minute meeting. Let's meet for 27 seconds. Like, no one's meeting is 40 minutes. You're either having most likely a 60-minute meeting or 45 or 30. Let's start with this shade here. So I am just like, why? My guess, because I always think this, is that they just want to make money off of people. And understandably, you're a business, make your money, but I just don't get how they came up with 40 minutes. And maybe I missed it. Did they send out a notice or something letting people know that they were changing the terms? Because also I have like actually I don't know if I still have it, but I have an account through the university I used to work at because I'm like an affiliate professor or whatever. And I would use that, and that one is one that universities have, so you could have like hundreds of people on it or whatever. But I was using my like personal or work. I don't even know which one I was using. I have like so many accounts. But I was like, why does this keep saying that we only have 10 more minutes? I had no idea that they had changed it to 40 minutes. That time makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I'm going to go in with this one here. Just like, how did you come up with that? There's definitely fallout with these shimmer shades, so we'll have to clean that up before putting on the rest of my face makeup. This has a bit of a shift to it. It's pretty. Y'all, Rosé hissed at me the other day. I was on the phone with Jessa, and I was sitting cross-legged, and Rosé decides to sit on my foot. And so after a while, my foot is like totally asleep and tingly, and I'm like, Rosé, can you please move? So I'm trying to move her a little bit. I try to be respectful of her space. She's not respectful of mine, but I try to be respectful of her space and of her body. And so I know she doesn't like to be picked up. So I'm trying just to I'm like, excuse me, Rosé, like, can you move? I'm like nudging her a little bit. And I'm like, Rosé, move, girl. She turned her head around and looked at me and she hissed like, Sss. And I was like, I know you did not, girl. I was like, not in my house, you don't. She ran off because Rosé has a timeout spot, and it's in the basement. Now, don't worry, the basement is fully finished. Like, she has one of her litter boxes down there. There's a couch. There's like decoration. Like, you can stay down there. When my family visited, my niece once my niece took the whole downstairs basement, and then my dad took the basement before. So like, you can stay down there. So Rosé is nice and fine when she's in her timeout spot. I'm gonna go in with this last pink shade. And now she knows when she does things that are questionable or wrong or bad or whatever. Like, Rosé is that kid that will get the whole class in trouble because of their shenanigans. So she like ran to her little timeout spot because she knew I was mad, because she had no business hissing at me. And this is the second time she's done it. And it's always when I politely ask her to get off of me. How you gonna hiss and I'm asking you to get off of me? When I tell you, it's like, that's how we gonna play it, girl. That's how we gonna play. Okay. Go in your timeout spot. Wait, is that, yeah. Okay. Whew, it's a lot of fallout. You can tell that Jessa and I are like good friends because we were honestly just on the phone and kind of talking to one another, kind of doing a bunch of other things at the same time. Like she was getting dinner, I was like writing emails, she was writing emails, and then we're just like chatting. I love it. I love when you're at that point in your friendship where you can do nothing together. Love it. It's gonna be a longer video. I don't think I'm going to edit too much of it. So just a chatty, get ready with me. Okay, so now that we have the eyes done, I am going to clean up my face with a makeup wipe. I'm going to also put on some primer and I will put on my foundation. Now, since I'm using the Nars Soft Matte Powder, I think I will also use the Nars Soft Matte Foundation. I have it in Nars, which is Deep 1, but I feel like I also have Deep 2, which is New Caledonia. So we'll have to see where I am. New Caledonia is the one I've been wearing the most throughout the year, or last year, but with the lack of sunshine, I might have to go with Deep 1. So we will see. I will be right back. Okay, so I mixed both of the foundation shades and I now have on some concealer. This is the Meet Your Hue concealer from Dose of Colors, and I am going to blend that out using the BK Beauty 109 brush. Now, I mentioned in a video earlier that the extension of their core collection, those brushes can now be purchased individually. I suggested this brush, this is the 109, because I really love it for blending out my concealer. Okay, so I had to talk to Lowe's about getting my door installed, and like they want you to come in to get the quote, and so I called and I'm like, is it a secret? Like, can you give me an idea? Because I can come in and what if y'all tell me it's $12 billion? Like, then I'm gonna be like, I don't need a door, you know? So I called and they gave me just like sort of an estimate, but part of it is going to depend on what door I choose. Anyway, I'm like, why is it such a secret? It's my door. So I did put on some bronzer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shade Seafront, which is the darker shade, and I'm going to use that to set the perimeters of my face. So I think that's going to be the best way to go, just because this seems to darken. And then I'm going to use Offshore, which is the lighter one, and I'm going to set the rest of my face, mainly where I put the concealer. There's a particular brush I'm looking for that I can't find. Is this it? Yeah. This is the BK 113, and I'm just tapping into that, and we're gonna press that under the eyes. Like, dude, tell me how much it costs. Why is it such a secret? Who came up with that? Like, I'm gonna get the door from y'all. Like, I just need to know. Help me to help you. Now I'm going in with my Pat McGrath blush. This is in Paradise Venus. And my Monsieur Big Lancome mascara. Like, Lord Jesus, come on. That is so weird to me. Like, give me a quote. I'm sorry. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not, you know, I don't do door installation. So, but I wanted to know, like, let me make sure I have the money to come and get this door installed. You keeping it a secret. What's that gonna do for me? Like, I'm gonna come all the way up there. You gonna say it's $7,000 and I'm gonna tell you that's okay. I don't need a door. Hold on, let me get one of these Nars lipsticks. Excuse me. I have a bunch of Nars lipsticks. I kind of forget to use them because I just have so many lipsticks. This one is a nice nudie color. Dolce Vita. Okay, so I will be sure to insert some pictures of the finished look, but for now, here it is. We'll see how this wears throughout the day. I will give you an update, probably on my Instagram, but I also still have like 2 more shades coming that I'm gonna give a try out. So, second impressions, I like it. It doesn't give like a super full-on matte finish, but my face does feel set, and I do feel like it's very smoothing and blurring. Let me know what you think. I got 4 minutes to put on a bra and some clothes, girl. So this is about 3 hours in of wearing the Nars Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. Like I was saying before, it's not like a dry matte. It's sort of a soft matte. If you will. I do see oiliness kind of coming through, but to me it doesn't look like overpowering. I still think I could go like a couple hours longer before I'm a grease ball. Now I do feel like it gives a different finish from the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder. I find that this one keeps me matte a little bit longer, while right now the Nars one, it's not giving matte. It's not giving matte. It's the end of the day, and this is what my makeup is looking like. I'm a little oily. I've got a little bit of creasing. This is not bad for a day's wear of makeup. So this powder lasted pretty well. I don't know about the whole 24 hours thing that it claims, but I think it did a pretty good job. It lasted through a bag of chips, some salmon, some pasta, and conversations on the phone with at least 2 of my siblings. So it held up pretty well. And now it's time for me to wash this off and take my behind and everything else to bed. So I like this powder. It's different from my Charlotte Tilbury because it doesn't give that real matte finish, but it gives a finish that allows me to look luminous without looking super oily, although I'm starting to look oily. But I think that is easily, like, I could just, you know, girl, I'm tired. All right, so here we go. I'll see you later. So, I hope that this was helpful. I also hope that you're continuing to take care of yourself. Be sure to like the video and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.